Hello and welcome to the Rabblecast. My name is Eric Hernandez, along here with...
Doug.
Oh, it's so good. And you are listening to episode, if my math is correct, 641. On this episode, you find out why I'm coughing like crazy. I mean, I might edit most of it out. But, yeah, karate class, impromptu. I'll leave it at that. And then we shift over to some theories, some fan booking, and rumors for the...
A little conspiracy theory action.
Ooh, there you go. I like that too. Conspiracy theory action on the road to Wrestlemania. Who done it? Or who's gonna do it? We'll see what happens. We throw out some ideas, some suggestions. Triple H, if you need some help, give me a call. We have some good ideas running over here.
And we have very reasonable rates as well.
Yes, good point. Thank you. So we'll see what happens. But it's always nice to talk shop about wrestling. We are brought to you by InsidePulse.com. You can find us under the various different sections over there. Games, comics, movies, TV, wrestling. Take your pick. We're over there. Click the link and listen in. It'd be great to hear you guys. Or have you guys listen to us. I don't know how that works anymore. I've been doing this for a long time and I forgot how podcasting works. Also, check out the show over at Rabblecast.libsyn.com. We're on YouTube at Rabblecast. Send us a tweet at Rabblecast. Follow the Rabblecast Facebook fan page. I'm saying Rabblecast a lot, you know? Are you catching on? Rabblecast@gmail.com. Let me know. Send us an email, thoughts, ideas, stories, whatever the case is, reaction, feedback. Whatever you want, send it over. We accept just about anything and everything. I have to have a limit somewhere. I don't know what that is yet. We'll find out. But
I thought you were going to say we accept travelers' checks.
That too. Yes, we do. I will gladly take that. So,
well, hell yeah, man.
Again, if you want to donate to the I'm poor and I need money fund. This is where I throw up my my Venmo and my cash app tag, whatever the case is. But anything else to add, sir?
No, not at all.
All right, well, that's about it. Get into it, have fun, and enjoy the show.
And we're back. The Rabblecast.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm very, very tired. Worse than usual.
Any particular reason?
I only got about 3 hours of sleep last night.
Again, any particular reason?
Nothing I want to go into on the show.
All right. Doug went on a bender, everybody. He went out to Atlantic City. He had some Coke. He found some, I don't know. Fill in the blank. Yeah, Nate Ball.
Sorry to take that nowhere fast, but yeah, I got that right now. Let's get out of this corner we already painted ourselves into. How are you doing, pal?
I am tired, and not in a bad way. We came back from a funeral service today, and off the bat, if I haven't said it before in the show, I'm horrible when it comes to death. A dear friend of ours lost his mother recently. Cancer sucks. Let's just say that. And it was shitty. The whole scenario. I don't want to go too far into it because it's his deal, not mine. But we showed up to lend some moral support. And I have never seen a Buddhist funeral ceremony before. It was quite lovely, actually. It was not as nearly as depressing as a Catholic ceremony.
But then again, what is?
Exactly, yeah. Oh, that's different aspects, different religions. It was quite eye-opening, actually. It was really nice. And even the Buddhist cemetery where we went for the burial, no tombstones. A lot of plaques that are like on the ground or like embedded in the dirt.
Okay.
Which I found really interesting because if you look, And if you weren't looking for the plaques, it's just rolling hills all over the place. It was quite serene. And again, we were just there to help out, make sure that our friend was okay. Overall, it was a beautiful ceremony, a beautiful burial, as beautiful as I guess as it could get. We saw some friends, we caught up with a few people. It's unfortunate that it takes someone's passing to bring certain groups back together in certain cases.
Mm-hmm.
But at the very least, so long as we can follow up on it, there's the promise of, hey, we should get together more often. Because you get that moment of, oh yeah, we're mortal. Our lifespan is finite, and you never know when that might happen. So on that end, it was nice to catch up with the people, have some fun, have some laughs, and then from there, do everything. When I got home after everything, I don't remember what town it was in off the top of my head. I'd have to look at my GPS. But we left about 9 in the morning, headed out, took care of everything. Because of the religious aspects of it, the burial had to happen by a certain time of day. Even the service itself was like all rushed, put together, because they had to fulfill certain obligations. And
Interesting.
by the end of it all, I got home around a little after 4. Picked up the kids from my parents, made sure they have dinner for them and everything else. But I sat down, and oh boy, was I physically exhausted. Like the emotion of it all. I was just drained by the end of it, but happy at the same time, because our friend was like, I'm happy you guys came out. I'm happy I have such a big support network of not just family, but friends as well. And the other thing is, on top of that, Jen reminded me that, our oldest has to go to karate tonight. I'm like, oh, that's right. Tonight is his one of 2 nights that he goes. Then he goes, well, not nights. And then he goes out Saturday morning just to keep him moving, keep him active. And he was having a tough time today. He had apparently scraped his knee. They put a big old Band-Aid on his knee. So it was just like oversized. It was funny. Took him to his class. And I guess he got like in his own mind about the injury.
Okay.
Because initially he was like, I really can't go to class tonight. I was like, no, buddy, you missed last week. Last week the school had shut down because they went to nationals, so competitions. So I was like, okay, last Thursday, last Saturday you had off. We're going to go today, bud. Like, you're not bleeding. It's not a bad injury, right? He goes, no, I fell and scraped my knee. I'm like, all right, then we're going to go. He got on the floor. He was all suited up. For whatever reason, he just didn't want to throw kicks because he thought it would hurt his knee. When they asked him to participate in certain drills, I just saw him like not wanting to go full tilt. He was holding back quite a bit. So, and a couple times, like the instructors tried helping him. It encouraged him a little bit, but by the end of it, I was like, what's going on? I'm trying to have a conversation with him. And normally what happens after he's done with his class, and if he does a good job, and which he normally does, Jen will take him out to get him like an ice cream cone from McDonald's or something on the way back. Just a little treat. He comes off the mat at the end, and he sits down. He's upset, and I look at him like, "What happened out there, buddy?" He goes, "I'm not going to get my ice cream cone, am I?" And I was like, "Let me think about that, because I asked you to go out there and do your best. Do you think you did your best out there today?" And he looks down and he goes, "No." I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do next time? We'll do better, but I want my ice cream cone. So I was like, all right, I'll tell you what. Let me think about the ice cream cone. But I want you to watch the next class. The next class was the advanced class, a few belts higher than he is. And then I went over to the sensei, and I'm like, how busy is your adult class tonight, out of curiosity? She goes, that depends. Like, it's different night to night. I'm like, all right. She goes, why, you thinking of joining? So if our kids enrolled into the classes, the parents, myself and Jen in this case, have the benefit of, if we want to, we can take classes for free.
Oh, well, neat.
It's a nice little addition of the whole thing. So I was like, all right, our oldest had a tough time tonight. So I think I'm going to join the adult class tonight and try to set a good example for him.
There you go. All
And she
right.
goes, all right, well, feel free. I'm like, all right. Go over, talk to him. And I said, look, my shoulder's hurting right now. My knee's hurting right now. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do some drills and some exercises and I'm going to train. He goes, but we're not going home? I'm like, no, you're going to stay here and watch the advanced class. I want you to pay attention. Look at the drills that they're doing. Those are going to be the same drills you're going to be doing soon. So just take note. And then when I go on the mat, I want you to be watching me the entire time. If I look up and I don't see your eyes watching me, you're definitely not getting an ice cream. And they had me do warm-ups. They had me do everything else. I'm happy to report because they put me on the dummy. I didn't have any sparring gear. So I didn't have any foot protection, no hand protection, no headgear. So they put me on the big dummy with, like, I guess it's like what, sand or water at the bottom at the base.
Yeah, it looks like a dude's face and torso.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't one of those. It was just a circular round pad up top.
Oh, okay, got it, got it.
So, and they're like, we want everybody practicing kicks. I'm like, oh, kicks? I can do that all day long. So I was doing the one. It was like a side kick, but then you don't put your foot down. You chamber your leg again, and you go a little bit higher with the side kick.
Ah,
I'm happy to report that my thrust kick, my front kick, and my side kick are still pretty powerful. Because
well,
when I
fuck yeah,
realized,
man.
what's that?
Fuck yeah, man.
I realized that if I wailed it because of the weight at the bottom, it wasn't going to fall over. So I was like, ooh, this is good to know. So out of nowhere, I decided, you know what? Let me try to do a spinning round kick. Not the greatest form. I haven't done it in a while. I mean, granted, I've never really had any formal training that you can really, call out, I guess you can say. I've trained with a bunch of different people. I was taught a few drills here and there. And then back when Jimmy wanted to, he was trying to get ready for a competition. He had us training with him. And he was showing us Bagua. So that's the last form I can honestly think of being trained in some shape or form. Like any boxing, any karate, kung fu, whatever the case is, all that stuff has just been like on the fly from different people, different teachers, different forms. Nothing real, specific. And then of course there's wrestling, which does not help me in this case whatsoever. But there was this one lady I was sparring with, and they call it shadow sparring. So you're not supposed to make any contact. But I said, okay, that one little kick that I have where you do like a side kick and then you chamber your leg again and throw another kick immediately. I was able to get it high enough where I would like go to her like chest, shoulder area, and then immediately throw it up and throw another one. And I'm off to her side, so I'm not making any contact whatsoever. It's just whiffing the kick off to the side. And all of a sudden I hear her say, that was really good. And I'm like, shit, thank you. So by the end of it all, I was sweating my ass off because it's a lot of cardio as far as like moving around and sparring with different people. And I've been a couple of different guys and ladies who were very, very nice, very helpful. When I had a little struggle with one of the drills, they pointed out where I was having my misstep, corrected it, and kept going. I'm like, all right, thank you. So
Cool.
I'm hoping that might become a more of a regular thing because I went up to the one instructor. I guess it's like a student instructor. If you can't tell, my throat's all dried out from working out. Excuse me. The one instructor who's, I'm assuming is a student instructor, was nice enough to come over and talk to my oldest a couple times on the floor. So I made it a point and I walked over to him, shook his hand and said, thank you very much. He goes, oh, of course, man. No problem. And I had my oldest walk over to him and say thank you for helping him out. So I just want him to acknowledge that he was having a not so great day. Because when I asked him, like, did you do your best today? He goes, no. I was like, all right. I'm like, you can try again next time, bud. But I need you to do better. He goes, okay. Maybe next time I'll get an ice cream cone. I said, let me think about it. If you don't have any trouble in the next couple days, I'll give you a choice. I'll get you a Frosty or I'll get you a Slurpee. How's that? Does that make you feel better? He goes, okay. So trying to leave some incentive out for him. So hopefully it'll lay the seeds of, hey, maybe if I do the things I'm supposed to do, maybe it'll be better on the other end of whatever exercise or training or chore, whatever the case is. So we're trying to make sure that he gets the discipline to do the right thing. So
Right on.
give me a second. I'm going to take a sip.
Yes, have a beverage. I'll kill some time here on the podcast while you're drinking. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, if you don't have a bottle of water to hydrate afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
I was not planning on stepping on the mat tonight. I have not been, like I said, I didn't get real formal training in a long time. So I figured, what the hell? Let me see if I can do this. And as I'm doing the squats, Sensei walks over and goes, "You're very brave to be doing this in jeans." I was like, come on, I've worked out in jeans before. This isn't so bad. My jeans are a little bit long. They're like boot length. So
Yeah.
when I took off my footwear and my socks, I had to roll up the jeans a little bit. But every time I throw those kicks, I'm throwing them with such force that literally my pants would unroll themselves. So
Okay.
this is not helping whatsoever. So they suggest getting a uniform, getting gear, and everything else. So who knows? Maybe once tax season rolls around, maybe I'll actually invest in some gear and get back to it. So that was my day/evening. I was not expecting it. So if I wasn't tired beforehand from everything else, I'm definitely just out of it now. My throat's all drying out, and it's a little difficult. At one point, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, am I going to be able to do the show tonight? Fuck. But no, it shouldn't be too bad. We'll see what happens. But yeah. Aside from that, what's been up with you?
Nothing. Just been working, trying to figure out moves going on, trying to figure out work situation going on. I got a lot of, I think there's a crossroads approaching me in the near future.
Listen, if that crossroads happens to bring you back to a certain area that you used to frequent,
Mm-hmm.
said sensei would love to have you in the class.
Who's the sensei?
Amber.
Oh, yeah, she teaches there. I forgot about that. Good Lord.
Yes, friend of the show, Amber is a fantastic sensei, and she has been nothing but amazing when it comes to helping out my oldest get acclimated, get used to it. Even uses him for demonstration sometimes. And when that happens, like Jen would take our oldest to class, and then when he comes back, he's usually like, "Daddy, I did really good today. We did this, we did that," but like today was such night and day. I was like, I'm confused. I'm like, really? And then and this is the kicker to it all. Not the whole joke of the ice cream cone over and over again, but at the very very end, right before I set up to call and record, he's taking off his gear. He's putting his stuff in the laundry, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, my Band-Aid fell off." So he walks out of the room, goes to brush his teeth, and he comes back. And I happened to glance down at where the Band-Aid was. And I was expecting to see like a drooling, oozing wound on his knee, like he hurt it that bad. I look over at his knee, and his knee has like a little red mark, probably like the size of a $50. And it's just, you can tell like he scraped his knee. There is no break in the skin. There's no bleeding. There's no actual wound. And I'm like, buddy, come over here for a second. I'm sitting down. I'm like, put your foot on my knee. And I get a close look at his where he had his bandage. And I looked at him, I'm like, "You're not bleeding." He goes, "I know." I'm like, "You're not hurt. Like, you scraped your knee. Mommy scrapes her knee. Daddy scrapes his knee. I've scraped my elbows. Mommy's fallen on her face. And she's gotten back up and done stuff." And then Jen starts pointing out, like, Mommy burned herself while she was cooking. I'm like, yeah, Mommy's generally unsafe.
Good Lord.
But I look at him like, you don't have that bad of a wound. I don't want to hear you complain next time that your knee is not doing well. You're fine. And even when we finished up class, he was like, "Daddy, look, I can move my leg better." I'm like, yeah, now you can. So.
That's a reoccurring theme I've heard. Because I remember a friend of mine up in northern PA was telling me a story about his son, when his son's about bloody hell. I'm trying to do the math here. His son's, I think, about 12, maybe 13, something like that.
Okay.
And Yeah, he was telling me like when his son was pretty young, like probably like 5 or 6 or so. Yeah, he closed his fingers in like a door and it hurt him really bad. And he was like, "Oh my God, I think you're gonna have to take me to the hospital." But it's also it's like kids like they don't really understand like the the correlation between injury and pain. They're
Yeah.
still figuring out. So I think that's where a lot of that comes from too.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like I'm gonna force my son to train while he's hurt or injured. Not at all. Like if I saw that he honestly like because he showed us the band-aid when we first got home, and he was talking about how it wasn't feeling well. Maybe he should skip class. I'm thinking to myself, no, if it's not a crazy injury, let's go. There's no reason you're gonna miss another week. But upon seeing his knee and how little injury there was, I'm like, come on, dude, really?
Yeah.
I understand you want to try to relax. You probably just wanted to stay home and play video games or watch videos on your tablet. That's fine. I get it. Everybody wants to just chill out and relax. But we're trying to instill the discipline into him. Get out there, work, do your best. And so long as he tries, so long as he puts forth the effort, had he gone out there and done his drills and, had bad form or whatever the case is, I would have been sitting fine. You did your best. You tried. That's all I wanted you to do. But the fact that he sat there and just like lazily sat around, did very little, tried everything in his power not to participate. I'm like, come on, dude. That's not even trying. So now he knows for next time. Hopefully it corrects itself. Hopefully his knee gets better by Saturday. Because he was asking me at one point, he goes, "Oh, they have like a craft night at the karate school on Saturday. Can I sign up?" I'm like, "If you're not going to do the regular classes, why am I going to put you in for the fun stuff?" He goes, "But
What's a crash night?
craft night is they do like
Oh crap.
yeah, craft. Sorry, like arts and crafts. Not like they're like building crafts and going out in the sea or anything." My throat's killing me. Sorry. So their craft night, they try to find fun little things to do to bring the school together as far as their different classes because they have different ages and everything else. So they'll have like overheard one of the sensei say, "Oh, we're gonna make slime, we're gonna watch videos, and we're gonna have pizza." And the idea is that you drop your kid off from I think it was like from 5 to 8, so 3 hours, and at that point the parents can go out and just do some shopping or have a quiet evening to themselves, and then you pay like 25-30 bucks for the whole evening, which
Okay.
it's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong, but at the same time you're already paying tuition for the school, and let me tell you, martial arts classes are not cheap for kids. They have different plans. You can do like the 1 year, 6 months, or I can't remember what the other one, or like just like a monthly thing, and they have different things going on. Now granted, we know somebody at the school, so they helped us out, explained everything to us, and we got the right plan. And my mother-in-law is pitching in to help out, which is fantastic because it's just she's being part of his learning experience. But at the same time, I'm like, you've got summer camps, you've got spring break camps. You're trying to sell me on a birthday party for my son next week. I was like, and now you're doing arts and crafts nights. I don't know. Maybe we'll just spend time, family night instead of arts and crafts at the karate school. Like I said, don't get me wrong, great place. Like it can get a little crowded sometimes with the different kids and all the different classes. Because even my son at one point was saying that, oh, there's so many people in the lobby. I don't know who these people are. They're making me a little nervous. I'm like, I understand. Don't worry about it. Give it about 2 minutes. The people that are finishing class are going to leave, and the people that are about to start their class are going to walk onto the mat, and you're going to join them. He goes, oh, okay. And sure enough, after a little bit, and he does the changeover. But it's like herding cattle because they have all their classes back to back to back to back. So once their day starts a little after midday, all the way until like 8 o'clock at night, they're working. They're doing their classes. They're doing their thing. And they have different assignments or curriculum set up as they do the different age groups. So I was noticing that they were doing this one drill with the two sticks. They're not eskrima sticks, I don't believe, but two long sticks where you're doing these touching drills. So you've got like a 5 count, and each count has a different move associated with it. So once you know the count and once you know the different moves, you should be able to do them in rapid succession. I noticed they had that for that, and then for the advanced class, they also went over it, and then for our class, the adult class, they did it as again. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I see this, and yeah, you just got to get the movement down here and there. If you don't have the correct reset, essentially, one arm might be out, hanging somewhere where it shouldn't be, and then it screws up the next move. So they're just different drills just to get you going and just to teach you a different aspect of weapons training, self defense, and everything else. So I was like, okay, this isn't bad. But our goal the entire time is look, if he doesn't like the classes, we don't want to pay a lot of money and then just find out that he's not gonna want to go. Thankfully, he's found his interest in it, and he likes the recognition from the senseis. He likes the recognition from his peers. So he's going. He's enjoying. Good stuff. But
all right,
just trying to keep him on the path to keep going. Have fun. Do you want to talk about some wrestling news tonight?
Sure. What the hell? There's plenty of it going around.
Well, no, because the last time we spoke was just before the Royal Rumble.
Correct.
And we were going over a bunch of different things. We're speculating on different outcomes and different possibilities. Some of them were close. Other ones were wrong. Now, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
We know now, if you haven't seen the Royal Rumble, spoilers ahead for anybody who hasn't caught it. It's been, what, half a month at this point?
Since the Rumble?
Yeah.
Saturday will be 2 weeks.
So we're close to that. So my question is, with Cody Rhodes winning the 2024 Royal Rumble for the WWE, do you think that call was made in the ring or during, like, prior to the match starting?
That he was going to win?
Yes.
That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure because honestly, if I would have bet my bottom dollar Punk was going to win the thing. So
same here.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what the logic is with this one. I'm not sure if this was, and that's the thing too. There's two theories I've heard. Number one, if wrestling is booked well, it's very predictable because that's what makes the most sense. And this one doesn't quite make sense. It depends on like which way they're going to go with the whole quote unquote finish the story thing for Cody.
Yeah.
The other theory I've heard is they're trying to do stuff that's going to kind of quote unquote break up the news cycle a little bit more and get more like, oh wow, how about that thing as kind of a distractionary tactic.
Distraction from the Vince McMahon thing, or?
Oh yeah, I don't think we're done with this one by a goddamn sight. As soon as especially I think over time we're going to find out that more people were quote unquote were enablers and or involved in the entire situation, or God, I don't know what else. I'm sure some more there's plenty of monster shit to go around, so I'm sure something else is going to come out.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening.
So I think a lot of this is also their way of, okay, well, we got a lot of stuff we got to do, and we've got to get everybody going like this, and yeah, we need, news. We got to, get the ugly Vince lawsuit stuff out of the news as much as possible. What about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, now knowing that Punk supposedly injured his tricep during the Rumble match, like I don't know if that was enough to say, hey, look, I'm screwed. I'm not going to be able to make it to the Rumble, so you're gonna win the match. Like, I don't know if that was even a possibility. Like, if you can self-diagnose yourself. Punk's been around. He's been injured before. He knows his body. Let's just put it that way. So, I am of different thoughts about the whole thing, because my idea is that, yeah, they kind of want Cody to have it. They understand that was the whole idea from last year.
Mm-hmm.
But even there was rumors that The Rock was supposed to be in the Rumble, but that would not have gone over well if The Rock came in, won the Rumble, and then he goes on the Mania. That would have just been, a black eye to the fans essentially, because it was like when Daniel Bryan didn't win the one year everybody thought he was going to win. Who was it? I think it was Rey Mysterio who won that year.
No, that was 2014. No, Rey Mysterio was number 30, and that was probably the loudest Rey's ever been booed in his career. That was the year Batista got his second win.
Oh, that's right. Yes. And you're right. If it's booked and it's predictable, it's what the fans would expect. That's kind of what you're like building up towards. But a lot of people were surprised, happily surprised, with Cody winning. You're like, all right, great. That's okay. I guess we're going to Mania.
Mm-hmm.
But then the following Monday, or was it? He didn't make a choice, and then SmackDown, The Rock comes out, and they have like a handshake, and at that point, Rock is now facing Roman, and Cody's going to be facing against Rollins, who Rollins apparently is also working through an injury, so how that's going to play out remains to be seen. But now there's a lot of different shakeups happening where they're like, oh, maybe we are going to give Cody his Mania match with Roman, but we're booking this day to day, week to week to see what fits and what parts are going to be moving. Much like, as you were saying, probably because they're trying to manipulate the news cycle right now to have people forget about what happened with Vince. Now, after that news story broke with Vince and his accuser,
Mm-hmm.
the news was everywhere. That's I hate to say this.
Yeah.
That's one of the downsides of having your company go mainstream, is that now when something bad happens, all the news sites are going to pick it up. And just cycling through YouTube, there is video upon video upon video. What are the horrible things that Vince did? Vince McMahon, being accused. Vince McMahon no longer with WWE. TKO gets rid of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon resigns. And those, like all these different things, like the timeline of events and everything else that's going on. Again, if you want to go online and read the court filing about what happened and what Vince did, and we have to say allegedly at this point because he's guilty until proven innocent. That's the idea, at least.
Allegedly.
Yes. But the problem is everybody has jumped on this at this point, that it's just being taken as facts, which you have to wait and see. Obviously, Vince put out a statement saying he's going to defend himself and these are lies and allegations and blah, 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 blah. But the story that's out there, the court filing that you can read, some heinous shit that happened. And to reiterate what you said, this is just the beginning. There's going to be other people. How long has this been going on? We know that Vince has been unhinged for quite some time. And I'm not saying like he was doing his day to day, but we know that because he's been at the head of WWE, he's been booking, he's had all this power, and he's never been questioned and different things like that. Like, he has this little microcosm that he lives in.
Yup.
So with that, what other people were doing things? What other victims were there? Who's going to speak up next? Let's, look at the divas back in the day when they were working. Was anybody subjected to some heinous shit? Probably, but we're not going to speculate much further because that's their story to tell if they come forward. But also, the male locker room, what crazy stuff was happening there? Because, as you said, who knew what was going on? Who was withholding knowledge? Who was not stopping something from happening? All that stuff's going on. Triple H has been questioned over and over again. When did you know? When did you find out? And from what he's saying, we all found out when all you guys found out, when the news broke. We were all reading the same thing at the same time. I don't know if that lines up quite well, because a lot of stuff's going on. And now there's all the rumors of this is why Shane McMahon left the company back in the day.
Yep.
Like he was trying to mitigate it. He was trying to stop his dad from being such a creep, and it wasn't happening. So if he can't stop it, he can't get anybody else to see his side of it, then better just to separate yourself from the whole thing. The other question is, did Stephanie know? And if Stephanie knew ahead of time, definitely Triple H knew.
Oh, yeah.
So when did that happen? When can you bring that up? All those different things. And I'm sure they're going to go into text messages and emails and crazy stuff now. Because it's, as you said, it's going to be more stories coming out, continuing crazy allegations. But WWE is trying to control the narrative going into their biggest show of the year. And I'm sure TKO wants WrestleMania to be the biggest one yet, especially after buying out the company and then saying, "Oh, we want to return on our investment." The only way you can do that is sell tickets, sell subscriptions at this point, and make sure you have all the eyeballs that you want watching your product. How do you do that? You piss the fans off. you pause Cody's story and see how they react. Because even now, The Rock is saying that, "Oh, I don't care if I'm getting booed. I don't care if I'm getting cheered. If people are talking about it, that's what we want." So I don't know if it's going to work out to translate into dollars for them, but it's it's definitely interesting to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild season. I mean, it does. So, yeah, and that's the thing, too. And you raise a very good point with this. We don't know if CM Punk didn't get hurt and this crazy-ass lawsuit didn't come out, because now that also makes you wonder, did they know this lawsuit was coming out ahead of time, and they were trying to get ahead of it by convincing The Rock to join the board of directors of TKO? Or was that already a thing that was going on? Like, it's tough to say, and you need a fucking scorecard to follow all of this shit at this point.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, it's gotten to this point where with everything, where it's like, you know what, I don't want to do too much speculating, so let's see how everything shakes out, and we'll just go from there. Because at this point, I mean, fuck's sakes, Rock is like 54, and he looks like he ate himself from 20 years ago at this point. He's so goddamn big. I mean, he's just like, he's got like 3% body fat, and he's just a wall of muscle. I mean, chicken and rice all day long, baby. So, go ahead.
I was watching past Rumbles just in the background as I was doing some editing, and I watched the '97 Rumble again.
Ah, yes, good
and
one.
That's when the rookie Rocky Maivia comes out with his blue trunks and all pep and full of energy, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, '97, wow, this is before The Rock, before he finally.
That was about 3 months after his debut.
Yeah. So, because they even refer to him as the rookie in the Rumble itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that Rumble finished up on, I was watching on the WWE channel on YouTube. That one finishes up, and then for whatever reason, they decided to give me the 2000 Royal Rumble. And when The Rock comes out and you hear, "If you smell," and the whole arena goes crazy and he runs out, I'm like, oh, 3 years later, The Rock. See you later, Rocky Maivia. Like, that's done.
Oh, yeah.
The difference, the night and day. I was like, wow, okay. And you're right. No, even though he looked good back then, yeah, Rock nowadays, absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
It's wild, yeah.
I don't know what kind of match he's going to be able to have, to be honest. I mean, I guess against Roman, you don't have to have a technical match. You don't have to be too flashy. It can be a lot of just, pummeling blows and different things like that. Rock has some very unique punches anyway. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they can pull off. But I don't know if they're going to maintain Rock versus Roman.
What do you mean?
It's the idea is that the belt that Roman wears has the lineage. That's the one that has the history, the past champions. That's the one that Cody supposedly wants.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to stick with Seth and Cody, or they're going to somehow squeeze Cody into Rock and Roman, or if they're going to play some other shenanigans. Because again, they're booking this on the fly. They're trying to see what works, taking all the different reactions in, because social media at this point is surging for them.
Yeah.
They're loving it, so they're like, all right, let's see how we can concoct this storyline where it makes more of an interest, more of a, I guess, a twist in a sense. So between now and WrestleMania, things can definitely change.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. We still got Elimination Chamber coming up, I think.
Yeah. What was that? The end of this month?
I think so. It's either the third or fourth week of February, as I recall.
Yeah, and you had mentioned before that they didn't want to announce the card, possibly because whatever results from Royal Rumble would have been spoiled had they announced the card ahead of time.
Well, I mean, that was the problem they've run into. They got too comfortable with a very clean format. It's okay, we have two championships. Okay, whoever wins Royal Rumble is going to challenge for one, and then whoever wins Elimination Chamber is going to challenge for the other one. So, yeah, you could very easily give away the whole game if you tell anybody boo about the whole thing. I mean, now you can start now. Even now, it might be a little bit dicey to start announcing because you just, since everything seems to be in a state of flux where they're still like, seems like they're still like trying to like float through all their possibilities and try to figure out what works best. So,
I mean, for a fan who wants to know what's the going to be in the chamber for their premium live event now that they call them, it's going to keep you watching. It's going to keep you watching the shows, or at the very least, checking the news boards and see what's going on. So, but it's funny to see like everybody's behind Cody, so much so that The Rock's Instagram page was being inundated with "You stole it from Cody. Let him finish his story. We're behind Cody. We love Cody." All this stuff, and The Rock's like, "Cool, keep it coming." Which just goes to show you, like that's a veteran right there.
mm-hmm.
Like anybody else starting out in the business would start like engaging, going, "Oh, screw you guys! I came back for you guys," and all this other stuff. Now there's the other rumor of The Rock possibly turning heel, which I would love.
Doesn't make sense.
It. So when Trish Stratus came back, everybody was having fun because the veteran came back, the superstar Trish, one of the biggest women wrestlers for WWE. When she turned heel and went against Becky Lynch, yeah, people were upset, but at the same time, it made everything interesting. It built Becky Lynch up higher. So if we go ahead.
I was going to say, but the problem with that though is if it's going to be with I mean, number one, I don't think Rock is going to waste his time with Seth Rollins and the newer title of the 2 to 3, depending on how you want to phrase it, heavyweight world titles they got or heavyweight titles that they got. Because the one that Roman's carrying is a combination of the traditional heavyweight title and the universal title, as I recall, right?
I believe so.
Yes, and then they made up the one that the Rollins is running around with a couple of years ago, and I can't remember what the name of the thing is, other than I don't like the belt design. So let's be honest here. Rock is not. If Rock is coming back to wrestling at 54 years old, when he's still arguably like one of the untouchable god tier guys, along with Austin and Hogan, he's not going to go dicking around with what's basically an overglorified secondary title. It's going to be him and Roman, and what's the benefit of a heel program for that?
Make a good point. Okay.
Unless, I don't know if he's the kind of guy who would say, "Oh, let me beat Roman and then I'll drop it to Cody," because then you lose. Yeah, that doesn't make sense either, because again, on top of that, Cody's just going to get completely fucked. I mean, especially when you build up. Roman is, I don't know if he's going to be he's over 1,000 days now as champion. Well over 1,000, because he's had the title since SummerSlam of 2020. So we're at 3.5 years now.
Yeah, I believe we're over 1,200 at this point.
Okay, yeah. I don't think they're going to have him break. I don't think Bruno Sammartino's record of like 7 years is going to be broken anytime soon. But it goes to reason that when you build up for this long, you're going to have a good blow off for that one. So yeah, Cody's going to have to reign triumphant, or because even if they bring back The Rock for this, I could see Roman beating The Rock, truth be told.
Okay. Well, yeah, because all right, so we have two things to contend with, and it's not good, bad. It's not wins, losses. You're dealing with Roman Reigns' title run, and how long they're going to let that go,
mm-hmm.
and then Cody's quote unquote story.
Yeah,
those are the two big things you got to figure out. Because, like you said, you want to make sure that the title run, if it is ended at WrestleMania, it's got to make sense. It's got to be big. If it's going to be The Rock, I don't think The Rock's going to go over. I think The Rock's going to probably pull some heelish moves, probably, to try to build Roman himself. But then Roman might lose down the line to somebody else. But then are you going to give Cody his big victory? Even if they give it against Rollins, that's not the one he wants, I don't think. Unless you're going to be able to build Cody up for maybe a victory here, but then say, I want Roman. Like, I beat one guy for the title. I want the title that I've been gunning for that belongs to my family, essentially. Those are going to be the two story points they need to move around and make sense. And a lot of people have been saying already that, oh, what they did with The Rock, that's something we would expect under Vince McMahon, not under TKO at this point. We would expect with Triple H having different ideas, better ideas at the very least, or at least a fresher take on that angle. But here's the other thing we have to now contend with when it comes to booking. Everybody's talking about Triple H booking. Who's to say that the guys above Triple H in TKO don't say, hey, we don't care your storyline. Screw your story. Screw your title run. We want what's going to be headlines and put butts in the seats. So
exactly.
We're going to push a storyline, and that's what you're going to give the fans. And that's the other problem. That's the twist of it all. Who's going to get the final say, and who's going to be able to push that narrative through to hopefully entertain the fans and to hopefully give some closure to all the performers, really. Like, you're correct on one thing. Like, when did The Rock decide he's going to come back? That's kind of up in the air right now. But apparently one of his demands when he came back was that he wanted a match against Roman.
Okay.
I don't know.
Which makes sense because they've been teasing that entire thing of the two biggest names from the Samoan Anoa'i family in professional wrestling currently. So that makes sense. Yeah.
But see, my problem was the one year that The Rock came back to the Rumble and tried giving, was it the Rumble or another pay-per-view? I can't remember now. He came back to one of the events a few years back trying to give Roman the rub. And it didn't work.
You're talking about Royal Rumble 2015 in Philadelphia.
Was that the one?
That was the one where even The Rock had that look on his face like, why the hell are they booing us?
Yeah.
And yeah, instead of The Rock lifting up Roman dragged The Rock down.
And it's tough because, again, like, how do you build this at this point? And, all right, so another thing about The Rock being booed. The fans that watched The Rock back in the day, I mean, they're all older at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, you might have some diehard fans that hung on, or you have fans like me who've, like, kind of, like, moved away a little bit. We still keep an ear out for news and stories and everything like that, and we'll occasionally watch a pay-per-view or PLE, whatever you call it now. But you have a new generation of fans. That generation of fans didn't go through the Rocky Maivia. They didn't go through Die Rocky Die. They didn't go through the Nation of Domination Rock. So all that history, unless you're going to go back and be an avid fan and figure out where all this started from, all of these guys are going to say, why is the Tooth Fairy coming back to WWE? Or, why is Hobbs stepping out of his car and into a ring?
It's like, yeah, shouldn't him and Dominic Toretto be fighting right now?
So why is Black Adam bombing in the ring? It's like all this stuff is just like the Rock is a brand. Let's face it. He's built himself up. He's got a name. He's got a company. He's got multiple companies, but he's trying to go out there and shine up his brand as best he can. At the same time, he's trying to lend that credibility back to the company that helped build him. So much so, I think we might have mentioned it last time, another part of his deal of signing with TKO and becoming a board member is the WWE now has given him the rights to The Rock. So he can use that all the live long day now, which is nice because it's something he built up. It's something he made. You can't use it without him unless you want to go through fake Razor and fake Diesel, like, the 97 Rumble all over again.
Yeah.
Which I completely forgot about fake Diesel and Razor Ramon, by the way. So seeing a one Glenn Jacobs come out as Diesel, and they're talking him up like, oh, he's got an incredible physique. I'm like, yeah, for a guy that's not him.
What a weird idea that was.
Look, they wanted to try to keep pushing those characters. They thought maybe they can do it. They did it with Doink all the time.
Well, that's different.
I know it's different.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to tell it's a different Doink. And like the physique is what it is, but man, let's be perfectly honest here. Like, yeah, as soon as they were like, In fact, actually, I remember like when they first showed up in, I think it was like late fall, early winter of '96, going into '97. I remember an announcer even said something along the lines of, when they said, here they are, Razor Ramon and Diesel, and somebody even said, that's not Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and they said, who said it is? We just said it's Kevin Nash, it's Scott. We just said it's Diesel and Razor Ramon. What do you want?
Stick
So,
to
but
the script, pal.
yeah, but that was a perfect example of let's be honest. I see that as nothing else other than Vince being a petty ass dick. So
Well, I also noticed that in the '97 Rumble, when they came out, they obviously had like they were separated and they have different number entries. But when Razor came out, he went out almost immediately. Like
mhm.
he had very little to no time in the ring in that Rumble. When Diesel or Glenn Jacobs came out, later known as Kane, they gave him a long run and he just stood in there and was pounding on people left and right.
Yeah, he
So
was one of the final. He was like, I think he was like the fourth or fifth of the last. He was one of the last guys eliminated. But at that point, they were also workshopping him because they knew this was a while after. As the story goes, according to legend, Undertaker was doing a favor for Jim Cornette, went down to do Smoky Mountain Wrestling. They brought in Unabomb to work with him, which was another old gimmick that Glenn Jacobs used on the Indies and in USWA and around all over the place. They had chemistry with each other. According to legend, Taker went back to Vince and said, "Hey, if we package this guy right, I think him and I can do a lot of business together." And then, that's when they took him off. They took him off TV as the fake Diesel, I think about February, March. And they said, just sit tight. We got to repackage you. So just go get jacked as you can. And he came back jacked as shit.
So,
But
when did he portray Isaac Yankem?
that was like 90. Okay, hold on. So, okay, I'm trying to. Okay, now you're putting me to the test here. If I remember correctly, the first televised King of the Ring was 93. Bret Hart won. They turned that into a long feud between Bret and Jerry Lawler because Jerry Lawler says, I'm the only king around here. And somewhere along the way, Lawler lost a Kiss My Foot match with Bret.
Mm-hmm.
And Bret literally grabbed Lawler's foot and shoved it into Lawler's mouth. And that was about the time when they introduced Isaac Yankem as his dentist who had to take care of his teeth. So I want to say he was there from like 94 to maybe, it was weird. I just rewatched the 96 Rumble and he showed up in that very briefly, which I was surprised he was still there that late in the game. So I think that was near the end of his appearances because late by the end of 96, he was fake Diesel.
Okay.
So but the other guy who played Razor Ramon, Rick Bogner, I mean, he was just an indie guy who was out working all the time, and I don't think they really had any major plans for him, because I don't think he really stuck around after that.
No, I don't remember him at all.
No, the only thing I tell you about him is he died a couple of years ago.
Did he? Oh, shit.
Yeah, Rick Bogner is... Oh, hold up, I got my internets right here. Rick Bogner. Let's see. Canadian professional wrestler, died September 20th, 2019. Professional wrestler, actor, and motivational speaker. He was also known as Big Titan in FMW in Japan. There you go.
Okay.
Yes, he was Big Titan, Mega Mask, Razor Ramon, Razor Rick, Rick Titan, and Tai Do. So.
Okay.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, and a side note, Roman Reigns is currently at 1,257 days.
Woo! Jesus.
So.
And that's, yeah.
Hey, I mean, good for him. I mean, they did a long title run with Punk back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And you honestly didn't think you'd see another one longer than that for quite some time, but they said, screw it, we're going to try this idea again. And again, if you're going to have something built up this long, this big, you have to make it mean something when he loses it.
Okay.
And you can have a match at Mania. Yes, that's a perfect place to do it. But but it might be more shocking if it happens like out of nowhere. Like, I'm sure they would want it televised. It's not something they're going to pull off at a house show. But like on a random SmackDown or a random Raw, they're gonna have a big match, and they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, Roman Reigns lost the title." Somebody, you know, our truth stepped
Yeah.
in, and then just got the 1, 2, 3. You never know. You never know what's gonna happen. But they definitely have to be very, very careful with it. It's the same as the Money in the Bank every time they have that pay per view or that
Hmm.
event. Whoever holds that briefcase, you got to make sure that you cash it in, or you use it or implement it correctly, because otherwise it means nothing and it's just a waste until the next one. And
Yep.
we've had multiple instances of people using the Money in the Bank and it just fizzles out. So I think Damian Priest still has his. I want to say I think they're
Uh,
still calling him Senior Money in the Bank.
very well could be. I do believe so. You are correct. Yeah.
So I mean, we could have something happen there. There's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to this. So I'm very, very curious how it's going to play off, or excuse me, play out. And already, like I was more than likely going to watch WrestleMania anyway, but now I'm definitely interested to see what's going to happen day one to day two.
Mm.
Um, oh, you know, it would be great.
What?
Now that I'm thinking about this, so if they want to book this day to day, and this is just fan booking, complete fan booking at this point. So
Okay.
let's have the different matches happen on different nights. So you're gonna have Roman and The Rock, more than likely going to be night 2. Have Cody and Rollins on night 1. Right?
Yeah.
Both of them, Cody and The Rock, lose their respective matches. But on
Okay.
night 2, after Reigns has already competed, somehow have Cody jump in and challenge, like, oh, you took on The Rock, but, I'm still gunning for you, whatever the case is. I don't know how you're going to book it. I don't know how it's going to play through, but it would be cool to have both matches be lost, and people would be like, "Oh my God, it sucks." No new champion, or whatever the case is. Kind of like we were talking about before. When you have people who win the Rumble, why not have them go all the way through Mania, have them lose, and then out of nowhere have then Cody challenge Roman, or have Roman accept on some strange terms, and then give you that big match that everybody's been looking for.
Okay.
You wouldn't see it coming. It was not booked ahead of time. It's definitely something that would happen on the fly, and then give WrestleMania the air of, oh, you better be watching because anything can happen.
Okay.
I don't get.
That's interesting. I actually kind of like that idea because once again, nobody would see it coming and would completely go back to it would go back to what everybody was already complaining about. So,
It would take care of both of your storylines, because at that
hmm
point, again, Roman can hold on to his title run for a little bit longer, maybe just a few hours, whatever the case is. But then you would have somehow Cody be dejected, or lose on some kind of weird technicality, like some kind of DQ or something.
hmm
So I guess in that case, you could have, if you're gonna have a DQ or a count or along those lines, you could still have Cody win. He wouldn't win the belt on a DQ, obviously, but then you would give him that ability to go and challenge Roman, or at least fall into a match with Roman that would then play out on
hmm
night 2, and then night 2 would just be bonkers because
yeah.
everybody would be calling up their friends going, Cody's going to finish the story. Cody's going to finish the story. Oh my God, he's going to return the book to the public library. Holy shit. But you'll have that air of excitement of, I can't believe it's actually happening. You got to watch now. You could. Again, I don't get paid the big bucks to book for WWE, so I wouldn't know how you would go about it. But at the very least, that would be something like, that would control the narrative for them. That would definitely drown out all the other news stories that they don't want out currently.
hmm
So,
Oh yeah.
definitely, definitely a lot of room to play, a lot of things
hmm
to work with. So I'm hoping that TKO at the very least understands that, hey, look, the booking for this event is going to be very, very sensitive,
hmm
especially since we have a lot of different examples of what not to do. If the crowd wants Daniel Bryan, motherfuckers, give him Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
If the crowd wants Cody Rhodes, let Cody go. Like, let him do his thing. Again, we were
Yeah,
talking about before how Cody's, you know, in a lot of different people's eyes, he might not be main event material. Who is he really without the family legacy, all that kind of stuff? But he has worked himself into a very unique position at this point. So use that to your benefit.
as much as I am definitely not a fan of Cody, I just never gave a damn about the guy. I will say this: I think that's the most reasonable pathway that they can do. They could do with this stuff. I think trying to shoehorn The Rock into the situation for him to have some type of a, especially if The Rock, especially if The Rock wins, I think that might be a bad idea actually at the end of the day. So, you know, I hate to give him the credit, but yeah, if Punk is on the shelf with an injury, yeah, letting Cody finish the story and actually sending home the whatever you want to call the Cody, the roller coasters or whatever the hell they're calling the whatever they're calling his fan base now.
Oh God.
But yeah, if they're gonna do that, might as well. And yeah, like I said, it's Cody. I don't give a shit. But you know what? There's a lot of WWE fans out there who really dig the shit out of Cody. So let the guy run it home. And you know what? As much as I do, I bounce between indifference and general dislike. There's one thing I got to give to Cody. Back in 2020, after John Huber, the former Luke Harper, and Brody Lee, after he passed away, he was one of the people who was very instrumental in ensuring that Tony Khan took care of that family for as long as they wanted or needed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he did. I'll definitely take the guy's hat off to him for that. So,
It can go any which way. I mean, hell. So, all right. I'm just like, my head's flooding now with different scenarios and different ideas. The Rock, like we were just talking about before, he's 50 some odd years old.
mm-hmm.
The Rock could get injured between now and WrestleMania.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to want to try to keep him out of the ring, but every now and then they have the jaw jacking, they have the promos, and then they have the little beat down, and then The Rock does the kip up or nip up, whatever you want to call it these days, and then he does the people's elbow. And who's to say that he doesn't get injured between now and then? That's a good way to slip Cody in there.
I don't think he's as fragile as Punk is, truth be told.
No, it's very true. You never know. But The Rock, again, his match against John Cena back in the day at Mania, he screwed himself up, or like one of the muscles tore off of his abs.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to go to the hospital. He finished the match, don't get me wrong, but he fucked himself up. So between now and Mania, anything can happen. Or, who's to say Cody can't bring a character back?
Oh, are we going to get the return of Stardust? Because I'm on board for that.
Look, he might not like the Stardust character as much as some of the fans did, but if you can take that character and make it work, that's all the difference. That's what matters. So his brother, Goldust, was essentially saddled with a character much like his father,
mm-hmm.
that they really didn't want to do. But they said, fuck it. They worked with it. They turned it into gold. And it worked. It became like an iconic character in the world of wrestling where everybody would know about it. If you're a wrestling fan, you know Dusty Rhodes. You know Goldust. Can you recall all the other characters that Dustin Reynolds has played? I'm sure you can name a few of them here and there, but are any of them as memorable as Goldust?
Yeah, I have no idea. I know there was a bunch of different ripoffs of that. Like there was Seven, and then there was that weird nightmare thing that Impact tried to do with him. Those were the two big ones I could think of.
Yeah, I mean, he tried.
Yeah, they're definitely not as big as Goldust, and a distant second to Goldust when he was just the natural Dustin Rhodes back in like the late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to him for trying it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they again, he got the look at that point because of his family. If you were another character that was running around in face paint and you made a name for yourself, but then suddenly you want to try to take the makeup off and try to go out there and just using your name, if you don't have that family legacy behind you, that story behind you, a lot of people will just forget about you. So, yeah, I mean, if Cody could do it, if he could bring himself to put on the jumpsuit, put on the makeup, Stardust might not be a main event character,
mm-hmm.
But at the very least, it's something that's, another possibility storyline wise.
Yeah.
He, if he could make it and taking a page out of Finn Balor's book, imagine doing the Stardust character when Cody finally like reaches a certain level of frustration and anger. He just begins to glitter. He shines, and that's when he becomes Stardust, like in a Sailor Moon type transformation. I think that would be cool. I think that at the very least would be fun and exciting. Does it have legs long term? Probably not.
No, no, no. That would have to be like a one-off, and it would be like a weird shtick kind of thing too.
Yeah. And then my other question is at the very end of all this is if Cody does finish the story at WrestleMania, how long does Cody hold on to that belt?
Oh, bloody hell, that's a really good question. He would have it, he would carry that for at least a year, I'd say. I really can't see them doing anything else because I can completely see it within reason that one of the things that when he went back to the WWE almost 2 years ago now, that one of the things they basically had to offer him in addition to like the seven-figure paycheck was they probably said like I want a main event and win the title at Mania. And it goes to the reason if you think about that. I mean, that's probably one of the things that they that was probably one of the things that they gave to Punk in the contract when he signed.
Yeah. And another thing that could happen possibly is, you have him win it at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Punk comes back, you have a built-in feud already. Because having
Oh
Cody
yeah.
eliminate him at the Rumble, that's already like, hey, I didn't come in to lose, to Dusty's kid for after 10 years. I meant that. I want to go back. Let's run it again. That's
Mm-hmm.
possibly after a rematch with Roman or whatever the case is. I don't know what's going on in that scenario, but you would have that built in with Punk already. So you've got two guys for him, essentially. You would have Roman Reigns already built in, obviously, because he has the belt and he has the title reign that's currently going on. But then you would also have a returning injured Punk, or at least a healed Punk, looking for his revenge and what's rightfully his in his mind. So
Yep.
there's a lot of different things this can go through. My other question is, if The Rock goes to Mania, is he coming back for just one event? Is he going to stick around again? Is he going to show up at different events? I mean, WWE could use the star power because now, in light of the whole Vince McMahon story, Brock Lesnar looks like he's been pushed out of the picture for a little bit.
Well, from what I gather, he needs to keep things a little bit quiet until some stuff kind of quiets down that he may or may not be involved with.
Yeah,
So,
he was alleged to, or at least referred to in the court filing,
yep.
but nothing has come out straight. No, there's going to be more stories. There's going to be more information come out, and when it does, we'll find out what's going on there. There's a lot of people that are saying that Brock is not completely done with WWE at this point, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
6 months to a year might be no Brock, which is fine. I don't think it really hurts him. They've already been using him sparingly as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So if and when he does show up again, it'll be like old times. Like you hit that music, people are going to be excited. People who are offended by the case and what's going on will obviously be upset, but wrestling fans might be more accepting at that point. Well, it all depends on what plays out. So, but the fact that they've removed him from the upcoming video game and removed him from some of the publicity materials for Mania has already been very telling as far as like, oh, we're playing Damage Control all the way through, and I don't mean the stable.
Oh yeah.
So, gotta wait and see. And I do find it funny they keep saying that Vince is getting the Chris Benoit treatment right now. They're essentially, in many people's minds, they're trying to erase Vince from WWE history moving forward.
Number one, that's a very different thing. Yeah, that's apples and oranges in my opinion.
Yes, and that's not. We're not defending Vince's alleged conduct or whatever he did. But yeah, those are on different levels. And whatever happens, whatever comes out, whatever gets, decided upon, whether it's settled out of court or if it's, a judgment is rendered, Vince didn't do what happened in the Benoit tragedy. So immediately right there, like, people just gotta be careful, like, when you do certain comparisons. I understand, again, because all the different channels that popped up in my algorithm on YouTube were, Vince did this, Vince did that, and they would always have that comparison brought up every now and then of Vince and Chris Benoit. I'm like, are we really going to go that far? I mean, Chris did some heinous shit, and that's truth. There's no waiting to see, being judged by his peers or a court rendering a decision. No, this was fact. So
yep.
to go that far is kind of, the court of public opinion at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't think you get rid of Vince's name alone, or entirely, I should say, because even now people are calling for the return of Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that, oh, now that he's gone, yeah, you could definitely come back in and right the ship. Run the day-to-day, do what you have to do your duties, and your husband will be in charge of booking. That sounds great in theory, but you're still going to have a McMahon in the family, and I'm not entirely sure if TKO is ready for that.
No, and also I don't know if that just seems like they got enough problems they're trying to solidify around. I don't know if bringing back Stephanie, is Stephanie really that good of a booker or writer?
That's a great question. We don't know.
And that's the way I look at it, because as far as I could tell, she was on-air talent. She would have some ideas fed through her. But at the end of the day, when she was around, it was still one of those situations where Vince had final say on everything. So I think at best, what was he doing? Or what was she doing? Telling her father, no, this is a really insane, bad idea. Don't do this. Kind of like the incest angle he wanted to do with her.
I was going to bring that up. Like, I will not have your illegitimate baby. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's like, I love you, Dad, but what the fuck is wrong with you? So at that point, I was like, I don't know if the squeezes are worth the juice, so to speak.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of stuff happening here. It would be funny if out of nowhere they're like, Eric Bischoff now runs WWE.
Oh, Jesus. Don't even. Let's not even joke about that. That fucking scumbag.
Here's even better. Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff in a joint statement accept duties of the CEO of WWE.
That means John Cena is going to come out wearing a shirt that says FUNB, and the NB will stand for New Blood.
Hey.
You know what? The funny thing is, I know at least one person, if that happened, if they did the new Bischoff and Russo regime, I know one guy who would be super pumped for that because he's insane.
There's always people that would be, interested in see what would happen. But
well, that was also 24 years ago, so that's now, it's been long enough where we can be like, okay, what can we recycle from like the late 90s, early 2000s? So,
oh boy, don't even joke with that, because the propensity for WWE or just wrestling in general to recycle storylines and ideas, like once you see it happening over and over again, like, oh, come on, let's not rest on old storylines. Let's find something new, something interesting. But yeah, no, it happens.
Oh yeah.
So, but again, between now and Mania, we are on the road to WrestleMania, which I always love. It's always the fun part of the season because all the different storylines that can and will happen. I love the fact that Mania is still 2 nights, so they have a lot of stuff that they can play with, a lot of things that they can move around, and they have plenty of time to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Will it make sense at the end? Probably not. It's wrestling. What do you expect?
Well, also, I mean, for this storyline, going back to the whole world title thing with The Rock and Roman and Seth and Cody and Punk and all this, there's about 50 ways for them to get it wrong and only a very, very few ways for them to get it right, in my opinion. Yes. So, yeah, they need to be, this whole thing, they got to be very fucking careful with. So, we'll see.
The saying of threading the needle comes to mind.
It's a good way of putting it.
Because they better make this work. I mean, don't get me wrong, they could easily flub it and still have a good night.
Mm-hmm.
They can stick with the matches they currently have set up and just have it be that. and just tell the fans, like, look, this is what you got. This is what we're booking. Come watch it or don't.
Yep. Hmm.
That's not the mentality they're going to have ultimately. Like The Rock has said, like Triple H has said, and I'm sure a lot of people in TKO are saying, we want what's going to get the most eyes, the most views, the most butts and seats, the most commemorative front row seats sold. They want people to watch it and be excited to watch it. So the fact that people treat WrestleMania weekend like a vacation getaway weekend, where they have all the different fan events and all the different signings and everything else, the appearances, like, it's ridiculous the little cottage industry that they built up around it, not just for WWE, but also the other, excuse me, also the other indie companies that hold shows that same weekend in and around those areas. So,
And there's a lot of them.
oh yeah.
Oh, is there a lot?
And if WWE pulls off a great card, it's going to benefit everybody. It benefits the industry, not just WWE.
Yeah, absolutely. You are correct.
So that's going to be fun to see what they can pull off between now and then. All right, well, that's some ideas, some fan booking right there of our own that we've just went through. We'll see what happens. I think we've hit our mark tonight, sir. How do you feel?
Fading.
Yeah, no, let's wrap it up. I'm over here coughing up a lung over
Yeah.
karate class. If you're gonna like do an impromptu karate class, make sure you've got water. That's my little piece of advice for tonight for anybody, because right now my throat's like starting to seize up on me.
Yeah.
But all right, well, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. My name is Eric Hernandez, here along with,
I'm Doug.
and we are the Rabblecast.
Oh, yeah.